What is something people don't realize is a privilege? Hot showers. Holy shit, I was homeless for a year and a half, and there was a time I blew $50 on a motel room specifically to take a hot shower. I remember pulling off my cold wet socks and just collapsing into the hot water, sobbing. Felt like all my problems went away immediately. I lived in a country where if you had a shower, it probably wasn't heated, and if it was heated, it was by an electric shower head that was prone to shock the bejesus out of you if you touched the plumbing. That's on the days when the water was running. I hear you. I was emancipated when I was a teen. I am grateful for the mentors and chosen family who supported me through to this point. I'm almost 30, but I wish that I had the solid nurture, example, and support that I truly needed growing up. I probably wouldn't have needed to spend so much money on therapy after high school. My parents and I still communicate, but they stopped feeding me at 14 or 15. They stopped buying my clothes around 13, and even when they did help, it was mostly only for birthday or Christmas gifts, and always secondhand, which wouldn't be an issue. I buy a lot of things secondhand, but my parents legit have money. I had 2 jobs at 15, worked through college, and was only allowed to live at my parents' house when I was maintaining their entire half-acre house by myself. I don't think I've ever received loving advice from my mom, and in every moment that I have ever needed a parent to support me, I've had to turn to a friend's parent or a significant other's parent instead. There is no way to describe how much of a privilege it is to have been born to parents who actually wanted children, and the feeling of being able to return home to parents that love you and treat you well is something so foreign to me that I cannot even imagine what a gift it must be. That said, my privilege is that I've had amazing friends, and their parents have loved me. It's not quite a hug from your real mom, but it's close, and I'm so thankful. Nope. Grew up in Beijing. There was a huge company that was shut down when I was like 6 for doing this. Flavoring the oil into olive oil, vegetable oil, grapeseed oil at Seek, then selling it as legit new stuff. Stuff gave me nightmares for days. Actually, some are aware, so they do this. Due to rumors and the fear of Chinese customers of restaurants using gutter oil in their cooking, it has been reported that some people in China have resorted to bringing their own cooking oil with them from home in restaurants, and instructing chefs to use their home-brought oil in their kitchen when preparing their food instead of the restaurant's own cooking oil. I used to have constant night terrors and nightmares. I read a book on lucid dreaming, and it really helps. I never got to the point where I could just lucid dream every night, but I remind myself before I fall asleep that my dreams are all in my head and I get to say what happens in them, and that if something bad happens I can change it. It works 99% of the time. I don't go fully lucid, but I'll have a split second if oh wait I forgot I can fly out of here, or oh look, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has come to help me. I really recommend it, it's made life so much better. And if it matters to you like it did me, there's nothing woo-woo about it. It's all just science in your brain. Decent mental health. While some people seem to breeze through their life goals, a lot of people suffer in ways that prevent them or slow them down. It's a privilege to have most of your emotional needs met and have the stability needed to focus on developing your artistry/skills. Totally. Though mental health has received a lot of attention in the last few years, I think that many people fail to realize how pervasive mental illness can be. Even people who are apparently managing or doing well may not be thriving, or enjoying their lives. When I was young and potty training, we stayed with my nana who had a kinda rustic farm thing going. Some electricity, but no running water. So when she had kids staying over, she had a potty bin which was like a tiny training toilet we could use instead of running all the way to the night soil shed. We'd use it, someone would take it to the shed and dump it, and everyone wins. Except the person who had to haul toddler poo to a creepy outhouse at the edge of the yard, but oh well. My mom told me a story about her cousin in the 60s. Similar situation, except some asshat thought he'd play a prank on his niece. Scared her so bad that she ran, and the only place she thought no one would go after her was in the outhouse. Poor girl jumped into the shitter in a full-on panic. I heard her dad sent dude to the hospital because he was so pissed. Mom refused to use outhouses without a flashlight to make sure she wasn't doing business on people. My brother has a story about having diarrhea in a village in Thailand that only had running water every other day. This day was an off day. Even still there wasn't a toilet like he's used to. It was a trench to squat in a bucket with some water and a little shovel. Worked in rural Sri Lanka for a year, I'll never take electric, sitting toilet or available water for granted again, let alone the clean, drinkable running water in my lovely cozy flat, that I don't share with bats, creepy crawlies bigger than my arm, the goat being fattened up, and a metric fuck ton of mozzies. This might sound silly to some, but the other night I decided to change my bedding randomly and realized how lucky I am to be able to swap to another clean set on a whim. Clean laundry, multiple blankets, a whole drawer of socks, those things make me feel rich. A lot of people don't have another set of clothes or a clean, safe bed to sleep in. I had a GF that drove around with packs of brand new socks to give to homeless people. It never even occurred to me to give them anything other than food or money, since those are the most obvious things, but I imagine socks are one of the first clothing items to get destroyed when you've been homeless for a while. One time many years ago I wound up chatting with a homeless fellow. It was a cold, dreary February, and about the most I could do was grab him a cup of coffee and stand chatting with him beside some traffic. He told me something that has stuck with me all these years. You know what I miss the most? You know that feeling when you put a brand new pair of socks on? I miss that a lot. A few weeks later, some college friends of mine went around passing out meals and some basic toiletries to homeless. I made certain those care packages included a brand new pair of socks. We did find that fellow I gave coffee to. He cried when he saw the socks. I was born in Bosnia 3 years before the war. The war officially ended in 1995, and to this day it's still having a huge effect on everyone. And to make it worse, the whole political situation is still fucked enough that people fear a new war might start. On top of everything I have to deal with in my life, which is fucked because of other reasons, there is a constant dread looming over my head. But politicians on the West don't care. All they see is this region is a playground to fight political games with Russia. I survived the war for 9 years in Damascus, Syria, but couldn't handle its consequences on the country and left a year ago. I still wake up in the middle of night crying and freaking out. Heck, I still dream of a chemical attack happening near me again and that I have to take my mom to a hospital to save her. Once saw a homeless person getting water from one of the Great Lakes with a used chip bag and putting stuff in it to make food not even boiled. Gotta do what you gotta do. I got them a gallon of water from a nearby gas station so they don't have to, and I hope to do it again. Not to mention a nuclear plant was in view. I've swam in that water, but I'd never ever drink it, and it hurt me to see. If anything, having the nuclear reactor there probably means the water is cleaner, not because the radiation kills stuff. The water is never in contact with the radiation source, but because the reactor operators want clean water that doesn't clog up the equipment. I can only hope that this region does have some really polluted waters. One normal-sized lake was nicknamed Lake No I Don't Wanna, rewording of the original more Native American name, because it was so polluted by industrialization-era factories that if a dog were to fall, it would fall over dead in like a day or so. Only in the most recent of years has it become just safe enough to swim after a large effort to make it cleaner. It's still advised to not drink any amount of water and shower after swimming in the lake. Confused face, which part of upstate? My husband is from a town near Albany/Saratoga SND. It's insane to me the shit that is in their water. The town is basically a GE dump site, and there are so many people there who have had cancer and other crazy diseases as a direct result from the water and soil. So sad. I once worked on a First Nations reserve with no potable water. Everyone has these big containers you drop off at a water station, have them get filled, then carry them back home. Not only did it suck to lug heavy containers of water back to your house, it also sucked to have to constantly watch how much water you have and plan when you need to get a refill, as they only refilled your containers on certain days of the week. I remember when there was talk of the water treatment facility showing signs of failing, and there was a lot of anxiety around that. Poverty and hunger do that to you. I eat leftovers, ration my food. We are a family of 2 adults, 1 toddler, and we have a massive pantry. We have enough dry food to last a family of 5 a whole year. I never noticed it until someone pointed it out, and I remembered being hungry as a child. My sister is the same way. That's a good story, glad they turned out good people. I went through a similar situation growing up. Every penny was accounted for. One thing I notice I do now is when I come home from the grocery store, I always take everything out and set it on the counter. It's almost like I have to view my bounty all at once. It makes me feel very fortunate. And a full pantry is a blessing. We have a local charity that helps needy people year-round. They especially are geared towards people who have suffered from some kind of trauma. Death in the family, loss of house, things like that. I try to give to them as much as I possibly can. It makes me feel good inside to help people that truly appreciate it. I've noticed that's a generational thing. My dad was raised on a rural farm, but not in poverty. They ate pretty plain, and also what they grew. He reminisces about ketchup on spaghetti, and then chili was a real treat, with beef, kidney beans, and ketchup. He ate that way because his parents survived the Great Depression, and just continued to cook that way regardless of wealth. My dad likes a lot of different things now, but he will still go crazy over ketchup on spaghetti, doctored up a little bit.